So, how would Beth handle the dragon? Let's see how Beth would handle the dragon. She would go directly after it. But before we go to the main event dragon with d6, let's see how she would handle the accelerated dragon. d4, we get the open. Bishop e3, bishop c4, much like our other variations. Got that Yugoslav attack going. Bishop b3, and we've got some sidelines here. If knight g4, she would grab. Simply go back, and now I don't have the bishop pair. Would you like to trade? No? Well, I'm going to attack you, because that seems like the right thing to do. That's how we'd handle that variation. And if a5, let's go ahead, and this is one of the few variations where we need the castle kingside. Knight takes a4 and e4. Knight b5 is a nice move, placing a lot of pressure in the position. c4, cementing the knight. And I found that this position is quite difficult for black to uncoil from in the long term here. White can press relatively easily. So that'll do it for our accelerated dragon. Now onto the dragon. That classical, that main line, that aggressive and fierce dragon. And we have the characteristic pawn structure of the dragon. Some people say that they can see it. I personally never have, but that is what makes the dragon pawn structure, the tail and everything. So just like our preceding videos, how Beth would play the Sicilian, she's going to play the most aggressive structure. First, we start off with bishop e3, f3 in order to lock down that g4 square, queen d2, and then bishop c4. And bishop c4 could have been played before queen d2. Probably the more accurate move order, but we may get it by transposition anyway. So what do we do once we have our picture? We have developed our pieces. Well, firstly, if knight e5, bothering our bishop, bishop goes to the same square we've seen pretty much across the openings. King b1 solidifying, and once we've solidified, crack them open on the other side. h4, you cannot, and this is a mistake I've seen a lot of my e4 players make. I'm going to have to give one of my bishops in the open position. Which one do I want to give? You can move the queen and give the dark square B, or take and give the light square B. Well, if you have the choice, you always want to take, because this bishop is needed to get rid of that guy. If black doesn't have this bishop, his king is going to be very weak, and we have a higher chance of our attack succeeding in the middle game. Knight b3, give a tickle to the queen, she's got to run away. And now bishop d4, looking again, when we don't have the bishop pair, let's trade a set of bishops. And our plan is, if we can trade those bishops, get in g4, h5, get the queen working with this rook on the h-file, black's going to have some serious problems. So coming back to the main game here after castles, rook c8, there's potential discoveries on the bishop. What do we need to do? Move the bishop and lock the structure. Lock it down. Now that we have our picture, we castled, we got our pieces developed, what's the plan of the position? Black's king's over here, let's start the attack. A little bit different than our previous lines. Black's trying to stop us. Okay. Batten down the hatches, king b1, solid feel-good move. Black starting his attack. Well, let's press ours. Bishop h6. Like I said, we want to trade off our dark square bishop for black's. Black's dragon bishop is holding down the structure for him. Needs to keep it. And we're not going to allow that, are we? So g4. And this pawn sacrifice is absolute money, and every Sicilian player, open Sicilian player, needs to understand this. This can be devastating if black decides to grab here, because we have the breakthrough move h5. And this can be absolutely just crushing. So for example, if black decides to take, we take, Black basically needs to play g5 just to try to distract us to keep the h-file closed. But it's just not going to be enough because we're going to keep harassing. And now rook hg1, and the attack is, it's just beautiful. This is all you can ask for. So coming back much more than h takes g4, let's look at rook c5. Black is trying to distract and play on his side of the board over here. Bishop takes g7. And after king takes, let's try to crack it open. We've seen this style before. We need to make progress. Can we play on the queen side? We can, but does it help us? Center, well, we can't move the e-pawn. We can't move the h-pawn. So how can we crack them open? f4. Give up the b. f5. And time again, we're seeing this style of play very straightforward for white. Classical open Sicilian. Rook hg1, continuing the attack. You can't have that. And you may be able to lock it down a bit, but we'll end the line here with knight f3 as white has so much to work with. The black king is still under heavy fire. The knights are swarming. The d-pawn is very weak. The b-pawn is very weak. White could easily swap gears here and just play positional chess and start poking on all these weaknesses instead of trying to finish off the black king. You can pick your poison there. Definitely like white's position. Dragon. That's how Beth Harmon would do it.